All right, there we are. Okay. All of a sudden it got really loud. Good morning, everybody. If you can please take your seats. How is everybody? Bangalore traffic today? All right, manageable? Maybe we're still waiting on a few people. But we're going to go ahead and get started on time this morning. So welcome to India DAP Fest. Thank you so much for being here. I know you're bringing you're using your time and coming here from all around the world. So thank you so much for being here. And I want to thank first the people who made this possible. So Blockchain India and Blocumen Studios for organizing, and our sponsors Algorand, Chain Security, Matic, Ledger Atlas, Draper University, Prime Trade, IndyCube, CoinDCX, and the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology of the Government of India. So my name is Jessica Zartler, and I'm a blockchain advisor. I've been in this space for about 3 years. I'm co-founder of Satoshi Productions, and I'm also a blockchain anthropologist. So I'm very grateful that Akshay and Manav asked me to come here. So I've been in India since February, traveling around, and I've seen incredible talent here, and things are so ripe. There's so much opportunity here for growth and development in the blockchain and digital assets industry. So this is incredibly exciting for me to be here. And this event is the culmination of months of work and maybe years. Akshay and Manav and Blockchain India, you know, they're not just doing a one-time event, they're ecosystem builders, and they've poured their hearts out trying to create opportunities for young entrepreneurs and to bring all of you here together to connect and see where is it that we can support each other in our expansion and growth. So we're bringing together at this event some of the brightest minds in blockchain, digital assets, decentralized ecosystems to talk about the way forward, to discuss how can we use this tech for the benefit of India and the world. We have a better chance now than ever before to create systems that are inclusive, accessible, reinvent value, give greater and faster access to capital so innovation can flourish, and have more transparency and accountability in business, philanthropy, and governance. But with this new outer technology, we have to take greater responsibility, expand our boundaries and our consciousness. We have to make use and align our inner technology to ensure that this happens in the best way possible. So thank you again for being here. We're so excited to see what happens. It's always a bit of an experiment when you're running an event. We're all kind of co-creating this together. So I'm not sure what it is that brings you here. What is it that brings you here? Maybe you're looking for investors. Maybe you're looking to hire some developers. We had some fantastic talent out at our hackathon the last few days. They were up all night at the IndyCube Alpha building, had some mattresses on the floor. All of these young entrepreneurs and developers with incredibly amazing ideas. Some of the ideas that came out of the hackathon blew me away to fix some of the biggest challenges that India is facing. We had some guys working on a voting blockchain. We had a group working on transparent funding for charities. We had another group working on an incredible project helping farmers to sell their crops and get micro-lending directly peer-to-peer. So there's so many amazing ideas. So how do we take these ideas from seed to company, or to bring this to happening? So that's why we're all here together, is to figure out how we can all bring our resources together to make some of these things happen. So over the next 2 days, let's try to connect in the most present and authentic way and give our full attention to speakers. So just a short preview today of what's coming up. We have some fantastic keynotes and panels for you, and hopefully you might be hearing some things that you already know a little bit about, but likely there'll be some new topics of discussion and some things that you can take away, things that you can put into action today for your business and what it is that you're trying to achieve. So today we'll be talking about decentralized ecosystems. We'll be talking a little bit about digital assets, public versus private blockchains, Of course, cryptocurrency, we've all been hearing some news coming out, and there's a lot of questions about the regulations in India and what's going to happen. So we'll hear some interesting discussions about that and how businesses can handle this as it's kind of changing and in transition. And then we'll be hearing about the future of work. What is the workplace going to look like 20 years from now? Probably we may not be working in offices altogether anymore. It's already happening. People are working remotely from the tops of mountains and around the world on trains, planes, and together off-grid in some cases. And then finally, we'll have a pitch in the evening. For Draper University, there'll be a pitch competition. So Draper University will be selecting some projects from India to take, incubate, and work with them to see how they can support. And then finally, just one housekeeping note before we bring up our first speaker. We'll have lunch at 1 p.m. So thank you so much again for being here, and I look forward to an incredible next 2 days with you. So without further ado, we will bring up our first speaker. You might know this guy, Akshay Agarwal. He is so full of heart. He's so passionate, working tirelessly day and night. I was getting texts from him last night at about 4 a.m. So he is the founder of Blockchain India, and he's also working with Blocumen Studios, Draper University. He's got quite the long list under his name. But he is working his absolute hardest to bring together this ecosystem and to support everyone. I haven't seen him do anything but just use all of his time and energy to see what he can do to help support other people's support and success. So without further ado, Akshay.
A very good morning to all of you. How was Bangalore traffic? Did any of you get stuck, or did each of you get stuck, or did you start early? What was it like? Come on, some energy. Started early, awesome. So we've perfectly started things on time, and that will give each and every speaker their due share of talks to conduct, insights to share, and I'm so glad to welcome all of you to the India DApp Fest, Blockchain India and Blocumen Studios first blockchain focused, blockchain application focused convention, right? So just for those who don't know about Blockchain India, I'll quickly tell you what our past has been like, but Jessica has done quite some justice in introducing me. But for those who haven't yet spoken to me, I am in this space since the last 3 years. Before this, I was running a live streaming company based out of Draper University, and I was fortunate enough at that time in 2015 when there was so much happening in the early stage in the valley. And all of this was sort of sprouting at incubators like Draper University, Boost VC, and I was just fortunate to be there in terms of getting that early focus onto what these opportunities might evolve to, right? And hence, when I came back and exited out of my live streaming startup, I realized that we have to do something about this in India. And since I was myself a developer, and this space seemed to be just about at first start and have a major contribution from developers, I got around to start looking for developers who might already be working here. And what I realized, and it was right here in Bangalore, I realized that there was not many groups or not many folks working, at least openly, that we could interact with, we could build together with, right? And Blockchain India hence started as a closed group, between four of us, just got together, met, so some of us met at the meetup for the first time, and the idea there was to start learning and building things together. right? And when four of us in Bangalore started this, we realized we had some good interest from my folks back at Draper University. Manav, who's another co-founder, everybody joined in, and there were two people joining in each of our meetings virtually, right? And we realized in quick time that we were all learning so fast with each other, sharing our insights weekly, telling each other about what what we've learned, helping each other with where we were stuck at, that we started seeing the value of opening it up to the rest of the community. And this happened back in 2017, early 2017, when we conducted a first meetup, which just had about 8 people, 6 of us, and then 2 more folks, right? And from there, you know, having the co-founding team together in one city, we've come up to uh, come up to about 14 core team members, 4 city chapters, everyone focusing towards majorly building the ecosystem of blockchain in India, right? So that's just a brief of our journey. And at Blockchain India, we believe that blockchain and cryptocurrencies will not only digitally transform industries, but will also transform society as we know it. And a lot of consortium-based use cases are already yielding results. And what we see is right implementations changing inter-industry interactions, intergovernmental interactions, and overall, transforming the society. So what we see, or what I particularly see this space as, is a change in sort of the power dynamics. So we're looking at, with cryptocurrencies, with distributed networks, we're looking at going after goals in a distributed fashion, executing these or sort of governing these networks in a very distributed fashion, and hence, a lot of things that sort of will be required to give power to the people will come from this space, right? And open innovation being the core seed, or digital transformation being the core seed of all of this, right? And now, Blockchain India, we're looking, so since the very first day, we're looking to grow this as a think tank, and by that I mean we want to explore the way forward. We want to research and see on ground what's working, what's not working, and what we started as a knowledge sharing or an idea sharing platform. We want to grow this to yield sort of number driven, goal driven results. So also further along the line, what we're looking at is how do we have our own research lab? How do we have the folks that are working with us, govern different segments of these sort of focused research areas, right? And we're already scratching the surfaces. For example, we have an internal working group on crypto economics, right? It's very early, but the idea is to keep seeing what this evolves to, and if we can fundamentally focus it onto a couple of projects, maybe drive this through industry sponsorships, right? So that's been something. As I said, we've touched about 20,000 unique touch points through the last 2 years of majorly physical meetups, right? And now what we're seeing is about 6,000-ish, are quarterly interacting with us over, and a lot of this is majorly development oriented. But now we're looking at seeing that 2 years ago, what developers started learning, they're now already at that phase wherein they require our help with funds, with the network all across the globe, right? And I'm going to be sharing about the fantastic advisors that we have, and we're putting their heart and soul to enable these talented folks to essentially explore opportunities globally. Apart from that, while all of this was happening, we realized that a lot of because of the huge network and all of these focus towards specifically blockchain, specifically seeing how platforms could be used for different use cases, we got a chance to work with some of the best companies out there. So Stellar, R3, we were fortunate enough to kickstart their activities in India. And amazingly, we got an opportunity to launch Consensus in India, and even followed up on working with them towards expanding the ecosystem, right? So about the other co-founders and the team members, as I mentioned, there are 14 team members, and 10 of these are actively working in terms of building the ecosystem in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Hyderabad. So Kumar Anirudh, who's the CEO and co-founder of Acyclic Labs, he'll also be having a talk on his product and how he sees that changing or creating impact. He's been one of the core folks with us, and from the very first day he had a very development oriented mindset, and focused on having us work and build things and not just be on the high level thinking about ideas. Manav, on the other hand, comes from a very economic background. He helped build the Delhi chapter up completely. Advait Karthika was again with us in Bangalore and continue to support. Vikas runs Block Labs. He's focused on the services sides of things, and I'll bring into perspective of how all of these guys, what they're working on also brings value onto building the ecosystem, right? Kashyap more on the capacity building side. He's looking at the Hyderabad chapter along with Lakshay. Stefano was leading the Mumbai chapter. Now he's gone to explore Singapore and how we can ensure right immediate step ups from India to Singapore, and if early incubation is something that we can enable in the next 12 months in Singapore, that's something that Stefano is going to enable. And Chinmay now is one of our youngest folks, but is completely leading the Mumbai chapter and shaping up things for the Mumbai ecosystem. So yeah, so from the running around guys to the guys who are lending the vision to the main folks, the industry experts. We're so fortunate to have them. Nitin is again supporting us here. He's been actively finding time to guide us in terms of whatever activities we do, and he's been analyzing how this evolves. From the so at least 18 months that I have been talking to him. He's been so kind with his time, and he's between flights taking 15-minute calls, sort of sinking in what's happened, giving advice on what should be a way to go. A lot of things what he says 6 months earlier, I tend to realize that now this is what he said, this is what he meant. Probably now we executed in this fashion, right? And he's the director of digital assets worldwide at IBM, and a lot of things in this space all of us know are really led by IBM, and Nitin has been key towards taking that and making that happen. Alongside Nitin is Kavita from Consensus, and she's one of the advisors that that got in touch with us while Consensus was looking at India, and with the launch and everything that happened, they got a lot of good developers, access to them, having them participate in hackathons. They realized the kind of work or quality we're bringing upon, and hence Kavita realized that Consensus and her ability should be used to grow the Indian ecosystem. Apart from that, Vivekdeep Gupta from R3, Jasprit Bindra, who's just gone on from Mahindra to starting his own sort of consultancy focused on digital transformation. He has been key in terms of lending a lot of expertise from the. So he has a key focus on future of work. He focused on digital transformation, sort of sharing that with us. Apart from that, one person that has been key to supporting us is Ajay sir, and he's the head of the Department of Cybersecurity and Startup Innovation at the Ministry of Electronics and IT. And it's wonderful to know that we have such folks dedicated towards creating opportunities for youngsters like me and the ones in the ecosystem. And he's been core towards pointing out that this is something that the government is looking at. Why don't we have some challenges run, or why don't we have some key way to reach out to the audience and give them opportunities that the government could also gain from. So apart from that, Siddharth Chaudhary sir, Srinivas, Kolipara, Sanjay Mehta, all these folks have been, finding time to guide us ahead. So yeah, I think I've covered most of this. Uh, so something that got a lot of attraction was the crypto regulations roadshow. Helped us sort of start a new focus of whatever regulatory gap that we were happening that was happening. How can we as a group enable some positive regulatory environment to come in to foster innovation, right? And that was about the third pillar that we focused on. But the major focus has been on knowledge sharing and idea sharing from day one, and we believe that upskilling or capacity building is one of the key fundamentals, which when followed by fostering an innovation environment will sort of take us in the right direction. And something that we're realizing in terms of so a lot of stuff that we did till now was ad hoc. Probably it wasn't thought through that we'll come here to this point wherein we'll have such a strong community, such a strong support from so many talented folks in different spaces in this industry. But now when that has happened, we're looking at concrete goals, establishing sustainability, and we're looking to have a dedicated infrastructure for community activities. So what we believe, as an impact organization, to scale things, and specifically in this space, what we are seeing is that a lot of power can be given to the right folks when we're looking to grow ahead. And what that means is from 14 team members, now when we're looking to go to 60 core team members, how do we enable each and every one to have the responsibility and know that whatever they're going to do is going to impact the ecosystem directly. So how does that happen? That is one of the key structural things that we're focusing on moving ahead. And while we're looking at the next year of creating value, we realize that it's going to broadly be grouped into 4 areas. Again, capacity building. We realized that a lot of dev shops have come in from India, and obviously it was much expected. A lot of good early stage products are coming in, and some of these have a lot of some of these have Web 3.0 focus, which is quite new in India, right? So that needs, from our side, that needs enabling mass adoption, and how do we ensure that they're able to demo these projects, they're able to have people experiment with these products. For that, we're trying to create a consortium or a group of product-oriented entrepreneurs. And then the last but not the least is the investor group. And we realized that a lot of good ideas can only see light if we move ahead with funds. And something that's been lacking in India for now, but yeah, we have the focus right, and we're finding ways to move that ahead. Right. So yeah. So dedicated infrastructure sustainability, as I said, would be our focus. What we have realized how we're working is, if we want to reach the depth and the width, how we can easily do it is, while we focus on involving everyone, we also attach ourselves with representatives from all the 4 groups that I mentioned, right? It's already coming off to a point wherein we see a lot of core team members. So between the 10 of us who've been actively building the ecosystem, we have already started 6 companies. Now these belong to the 4 different areas. How can we enable all of those 4 areas to grow is by understanding what these guys are facing as problems. These guys, being core team members, can understand each and every group, how that needs to function, what are the needs of those groups, and hence, so Advisely, Akashup that's running, Block Labs, Vikas, one of the co-founders, Anirudh who's here, Acyclic Labs, and Blocumen Studios that me and Manav have started. All of this, it belongs to the 4 different groups that we're clubbing everyone in. So at Blocumen Studios, what we realize is a lot of scale is also going to be coming when we focus dedicatedly to numbers, when people involved in building this have immediate gratification in terms of not tokens, because obviously this is not a favorable environment for that. But then still, a lot of talented folks are associating with us, and they want, for their contribution, the right value in return. And hence the Blocumen Studios is about dedicating ourselves to building a co-working space where the community builds together, works together, and it's more about, community-based sort of building things, developing things, right? And we, in the very next 6 months, we're looking to have the first batch of distributed applications being incubated. Having said that, we're not at all looking at, focusing on token related things on the outside, because obviously, again, as I said, not something that India probably is looking at for a while. But we'll be focusing a lot on the back end, wherein all of these things get developed here, and probably potentially with the global network that we have, we enable these companies to build things here, but have that focus outside. And with that, I'll just set the context to the DAP Fest. What we realize is that we're consciously decentralizing creation of value, and enterprises are themselves realizing that a lot of innovation, a lot of sort of evolution they miss if they do not open their interfaces to talented people who do not necessarily want to work with them within the functioning of that enterprise, right? So we're consciously decentralizing towards open systems, open ways to interact with multiple companies. Challenges, focusing on crowdsourcing innovation was one of the first things to start, right? But we're continuously seeing that while this is happening, we're enabling the future of work to come in. And what that means essentially is probably in future we're going to look at even more open organizations. I think a lot of us might have heard of decentralized autonomous organizations, and the early experiments, governance tools, all of that is getting becoming a reality as we speak. So once we have those experiments fruiting some results, we will then see a lot of adoption also happening. But we at Blockchain India and Blocumen Studios want to be experimenting on the cutting edge, seeing what results can be drawn and what can be scaled with the community. Right. On that note, I feel future of work, things getting decentralized, Web 3.0 sort of coming in. We're looking at a newer society, a society that has people centric approach. We're already seeing with Web 3.0 that there is more user generated content than earlier published content that was there. So what that means is, for us in the last 5 years or 10 years, we realized a lot of companies benefiting from that. Probably as now the Web 3.0, when it comes in, it'll be all towards focusing on individuals. A lot of these value P2P exchanged, and sort of this digital transformation, and again ensuring that data security and privacy, the power is with the key folks. And on that note, I'll thank you all for your time.